and roll, Chicago. Rock and roll, Chicago, my hometown. Well, I was born in the city, gonna rock the city, Chicago. Chicago rock and rollers are the best you're ever around.
Hey, this is Paul Martin
and Ray the Roadie
for the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast. How you doing today, Ray? I can't see you. It's dark in here.
Yeah, that derecho came through and knocked my power out. No power for 4 days.
Really?
Yeah, I know that was a few weeks ago, but my power is still out.
Well, really? So your lights are out?
Yeah, my lights are out. I'm joking. I turned the lights off in my little studio here.
Oh, okay.
Here, let me flick the switch on.
All right. Oh, there you are.
There I am. See, pretty cool how that works.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's physics.
It is?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought you had a problem with your electricity.
I did have a little issue this weekend when I was swapping out a fixture. I'm no electrician. And I really have to stop.
You found that out, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, anytime I try to do something around here, it's going to take 5 minutes for the average homeowner. It's a 3-hour gig for me. So from now on, I'm going to go find somebody that knows how to do it before I do this stuff.
So speaking of lights out.
All over Chicago. I heard when the derecho came through, it just wiped out power everywhere.
They were out all over Chicago. And that's who we're speaking with today. That's who we're talking to. Is Lights Out Chicago. I'll give you one chance to guess what tribute band they are.
I'm gonna say
one guess. The first one doesn't count.
I don't know. This might be a little alien to some people, but I'd have to say a UFO Michael Schenker
ding,
tribute
ding,
band.
Ding 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 ding.
Look at that! Who would have thunk?
Very good. Very good. Yeah, it's their Michael Schenker era UFO tribute band.
Exactly. They just play that era of UFO.
Right, but they've got a lot of songs to choose from that era, and a lot of great songs. And we talked with them, and we talked with two of the fellows. Actually, we were supposed to talk with three of them, but one of them I don't know what happened, but we kind of lost them in our Zoom meeting here.
Yeah, Zoom isn't everything it's supposed to be when it comes to the podcasting.
No, but let's not knock Zoom. It's kept us going for a while.
It has. Thank you, Zoom.
But we
can edit that out.
But we talked with Joe and Rich, and they told us all about Lights Out London, Lights Out Chicago. So let's see what they had to say.
Let's go.
Welcome to the show, everybody. We're talking today with Joe Mazzucca, guitarist, Rich Tendy, vocalist, and we're waiting on Andy Benanthi, the keyboard player. But Andy will join us soon from the band Lights Out Chicago. How you guys doing?
We're doing great, man. Thank you for having us tonight.
Thank you for having us. Thanks for inviting us.
No problem. So tell us a little bit. I know you guys formed. You guys played together years ago, and you kind of broke up, and now you went different ways. But tell us about that. Tell us about what band you came from, and how it all got back together again. In 2007 or 5?
2007. So I know I have history, and Rich has his history, but I'll give the history with myself and Eric and Rich. Eric's the bass player, and Rich is the other guitar player. So we grew up in Berwyn, Cicero. So I was in a band with, Rich and Eric when I was a kid. And, we just did the kind of a band, rock and roll band named Dilligaff. And so we did that just for fun, but it was more like a party. We get together 5 days a week, but it was more like partying. I didn't party, but they partied. Everybody else partied. So we just did fun band stuff, getting together. After a while, a couple of years of that, we just kind of, everybody gets older. They do their own thing and kind of go their own ways. And then just by coincidence, I just happened to bump into a neighborhood friend, and I started asking about what Eric and Rich were doing, and he put me in touch with them, and that was back in 2005. And
you had lost touch with them for a while, huh?
Yeah, Yeah, well, I was such so actually I stopped playing. I stopped playing guitar when I was about 19. So I was playing from I was 12 to 19. I just stopped playing. I sold everything, went to college, got a job, serious stuff and all that stuff. And so just happened to bump into a mutual friend, and Rich and Eric were living out in Romeoville. So he put me in contact with them, just to put in contact with them. And I got an acoustic guitar, just messing around with that, just kind of noodling around, but I really didn't know how to. I lost all my playing ability since it's been 25 years since I played. So I started getting more more interested in playing, and I bought a V, and then I started noodling around with that, and then the bug starts to catch in you. So I had to learn how to replay a lot, and then Rich and Eric got together with this neighborhood drummer, and we would just get together maybe once a month and just kind of mess around. And then I started getting more serious, and then we started looking for a permanent drummer, because the drummer we had just didn't want to do it really on a more serious basis. He just wanted to do it for fun. So we found a drummer. So November about 2007, we found a drummer, and that's when we started. So we've progressed. We started as a kind of a variety band, and then we just kind of leaned towards UFO, and then we started adding Michael Schenker, and so it's progressed over the years. But from a personal perspective, I'm talking a guy that back in the day type of mentality. So it was kind of a technology shock to me to learn everything that was out there as far as musical gear, musical equipment, and all the technology they had. So
things have changed quite a bit, right?
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, they've got technology today where you can slow the music down, slow the songs down without affecting the pitch, and that's kind of what you use to figure out the solos and stuff like that. So
you used to pick up that needle on the record and put it.
Yeah, the needle of the recorder, stop, play, rewind, and try to pick up a few notes, and get lucky if you can, So, but now it's so much different. So things progress, but I had to learn kind of the music business and how that worked, and that was new to me, because back in the day we were just kind of playing for fun and playing in somebody's basement. It wasn't a big serious thing. So now we want to progress more out. We want to do what we did now is what we didn't do when we were kids. So that was a whole new business to learn, and the booking, how that works, and all that. So we've kind of expanded how to do that, and then how to expand our set list. We started doing Michael Schenker group, and so over the years we've gone through a variety of singers that just either didn't work out, or they wanted to expand, do different music. We kept wanting to say we're just UFO Michael Schenker, so other singers wanted to do more than that. So it's kind of not a meeting of the minds.
So if you quit playing guitar when you were 19, when did you pick it back up again, approximately?
So I picked it up in 2005. So I was how old was I? About 40? I think 40 years old.
You quit playing guitar for almost 20 years, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's just 20 years. It's just cold. It's just stopped playing. So
now, what about the technology of playing guitar? And I mean, I remember back in the day, I used to have my Les Paul, I'd plug it straight into my Marshall. It was guitar. Now you got all kinds of pedals and everything else.
Right.
Was that some kind of a shock to get used to too?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I just had a wah pedal and just straight in. That was it. That's all I had. I didn't have anything else. So now, they've got a lot of different amps. Amps have got built-in sounds and all the effects, but I just kind of geared towards what I was always grew up on, and that was a Marshall. So I was geared back towards a Marshall. I started getting a lot of effects, and I started peeling off the effects, and just run pretty much, just what the amp is doing. I have a little delay going through the effects loop, and that's about it. I still have a wah. But mostly it's I don't try to color the tone too much. I try to stay straight. And
I saw it on one of your videos, you're playing a V, right?
Yes. So I've got, that black one I have is a 1980. Yeah, it's a 1980. I bought it, and then I've made some updates to it. It had, some of it had original, it had a lot of original gear on it, but some of that stuff is just too old. It's just not, I buy vintage guitars because they're made nice. I like to play them. So I'll take out the gear, I keep the old stuff, and then I put the current, modern, better pickups and bridges and things like that. But I still have all the old parts in case I ever want to sell it. I can put it back together. So but I've gone cut through several V's throughout the years. But I even had a Michael Schenker Dean V. You know, they came out with the Dean V's, and he signed like 50 or 100 of them. So I had one of those, but too big of a guitar, too heavy and too big. You know, it's big for him, and for me, he's over 6 feet. I'm 5'6", 5'7". So the thing looked like a big, holding this big guitar, so it was an adjustment. So the years just finding the right gear, the right sound for our band. So that's kind of
that's the important thing too, having that right sound.
We're getting the right sound and all that. So like I said, we had different singers, and then we were looking for a singer, and then I met Rich at UFO show actually the same day.
What a coincidence, right?
Yeah, I was at a show, and then I got a text from our current singer, saying he didn't, he was going to be leaving the band. And then I happened to bump into Rich. We started talking about music, and I was in a UFO tribute band. He started asking, "Hey, I like UFO, always grew up, and you need somebody to sing." I said, "Yeah." I showed him the text. I go, "I just got a text right now from my singer. He's not going to be playing, so you can come on down for rehearsal one time, a tryout." So that was in March of 2017.
April. We met in March. The rehearsal was in April.
April. Okay.
The first show was in April. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. So
Rich, you were in, right? You were in.
Well, you know what? It was really cool because the whole time, like Joe had been out of music for all that time. I had actually been off the stage for 27 years myself. And I started getting back into music again in 2012, started going back to singing with my church choir, working with the vocal team, going back to a vocal coach, just getting myself restructured because I've always been a big UFO fan. And that was my goal, was to put a UFO band together. And that's when I met Joey, which was really funny because we went to the UFO concert, and my wife was actually like, "Hey, this guy over here, we've seen him before." And she was actually pointing at Joe's friend, and I had recognized Joe. So I had walked up to him and started talking to him. I'm like, "Bro, I've seen you somewhere. I've seen you, I think, Tailgaters. I know you play." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm in a UFO band, Lights Out Chicago." In the meantime, what I was doing, I was playing with my buddy Jim Pop's band, Two for the Road. And he was bringing me in to sing the UFO and do this priest music for them because he didn't want to do it. So I was doing that. And I was actually with Jimmy at the concert when I met Joe. And Jimmy was just like, "Oh, man, well, if you never need a singer, Richie's like a UFO. This is what he loves to do," and blah, 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 blah. And so Joey's in that, like Joey said, he's like, "Man, you ain't going to believe this." He showed me the text message from his singer at that time. And I'm like, "Wow, this is definitely fake." So he sets the rehearsal for us. And I go down there, and the funny thing was, he's like, "All right, what do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Well, let's do anything Shaker. Let's go." He goes, "No, what do you want to do?" He goes, "I've had guys come down here before and be like, and I'm like, "Bro, let's just do the Strangers album." And he just we all looked at each other. And for the next 73 minutes, we went through the entire Strangers album. and nobody said a word. We just played it, did it, performed it. And when we were done, we just all went out in the garage, and it was just like, "You got the gig." I'm like, "All right, cool, thanks." And it's been just a blessing, a fun time. It's been a great ride so far. I'm getting to now at this age, I get to experience music at a whole different viewpoint than I did back in the late 70s, early 80s. Back then, it was more about the women, the partying, just being, I played with my first band with Stargazer.
No, I don't know. I don't know. So explain to me.
Okay, well, yeah, my first band was a band called Stargazer, and that's when I was with Steve Crane. And that was me and him together. He was my drummer, and that was with Efren Siaga, Tony Gierman, who is now the head of animation, runs the lead guitarist of animation. Tony was a rhythm guitarist when he started out for us, and now the dude is just beyond unbelievable what he can do with that band. And then, like I said, we had Tom Santoni on bass. And that was our first band, and that was really cool. We were fortunate. We had back then, we hooked up with a manager through a friend of mine, Jimmy Talek. I don't know if any of you guys know him, but he was doing lights for a gentleman named Tommy Trumbull, who was actually a manager for a band called Landslide back in the day.
Sure, I know Jim Talek. As a matter of fact, I just talked to Jimmy a couple of weeks ago.
Really cool. When you see him, tell him I said hi.
He's living in Florida.
He's in Florida. Okay, cool. I have to look him up then. But so he hooked us up with Tommy, and his wife, Tommy's wife, Fran, for Landslide. She took me under her wing and just kind of trained me, got me going as a singer. We were, by the time, I'm 16, 17 years old and I'm already playing haymakers, haywires and stuff like that. I'm opening up for Tommy Holland back in, in the, 79 and 80 and stuff we were having a fun time. Then I went on and left them, was with Frank Tionis and with a band called Exodus for a couple months. That lasted. Scotty Blackman, me and Scotty Blackman were in that band, and then left from there. Then we moved on to Cicero, and probably my coolest band, I'll say, and that was when I was with Unleashed, and I was with them for about maybe 4 years, and we were doing all the jamming, all the playing out with Paradox and Damien Thorne and Warcry and all those awesome bands from back in the day, and playing with them, and then the partying became a little bit too much. And by 1989, Rich thought it'd be best to quit music and take a step back. So I took a step back and had my life go its way and stuff, and then came back, like I said, to music in 2012. And just in the meantime, before I met those guys, trying to put a UFO band together, and then meeting Joey, and then the rest is just history. And it's just, now we're on this ride, and it's just unbelievably fun.
Now, Joe said that him and Rich and Eric were from Berwyn. Where are you from?
I'm actually originally I'm from Oak Lawn.
Oh, okay.
We were a bunch of Richards high school kids. We first saw, back in the day, watching M&I Rush and stuff like that, but then seeing, bands like Donnie Buscemi's band, Stargazer. Once we saw Donnie Buscemi and Stargazer, man, I think that pretty much is like, all right, if they can do this, we can do this. And that's, that's when we started going and stuff like that. And it was just a fun ride from there. But definitely having the most fun in my life right now, performing with the guys that I'm with. It's just a whole different feeling, whole different attitude, and it's just all about the music and performing for the audience, and I'm just loving it. So pretty cool.
So you guys have families?
Yeah, I'm married, no kids, so I don't have to worry about that in today's world. Thank God.
I'm living in sin with the girlfriend, but I am divorced. Have a son. He's in college now. So,
isn't it kind of funny how, as the kids grow up, you have a son in college. You said that. Yeah. That as the kids grow up and they kind of move out, or they kind of go do their own thing, that the music comes back in your life, how the tables kind of turn back around.
It's interesting. As I was, learning songs and playing songs, I'd always have my guitar with me. So I'd get my son and bring him here, to my house one night, and then next night to my parents' house so they could visit. But I always bring my guitar, be playing all the Stranger songs through the earphones, the earbuds, and figuring the parts out. So my son has watched me since, I first started learning these solos and playing them. Now he hears them live and he knows the solos. So he knows, oh yeah, oh yeah, nah, nah, nah. He knows it all, every time he hears it live. So he goes, I remember when you were learning those songs and playing them,
Right.
He would watch me play, he'd be doing his thing. I'd be doing my thing, and then we put everything down and let's go watch a movie. Let's go watch a movie or do something, So he's had history watching me throughout the years.
That's cool that you get to share something like that with him too, though. That's really cool.
Yeah, so he's come out to our shows, and seen him play and go out to the fest. So it's just, he's seen the whole gamut. He's seen me doing it individually, and then he sees the whole band do it actually live. So it's interesting that he experiences that. So
how was this year looking for you guys, booking wise? Did you have a lot of shows before this crazy thing hit?
Yeah.
We lost what? We lost 4.
4 shows. I booked 4 right in a row. I mean, like I had them going. We was on a roll, and boom, it all just all just dropped out of sight. So
and then I've been booking shows for us during the summer where I can, stuff like that. And, we've already played 3 shows. We got 2 more coming up, and then try to get 1 or 2 more in before the Christmas end of the year, and then probably for the end of the year, I think.
Yeah,
we're looking at maybe doing a Toys for Tots thing with getting that set up, but we'll see how that works.
Yeah, it's very tough right now. It's extremely tough right now. I know just bands are starting to get back into playing, but then you have no idea what's going to happen, and I mean, I have a show in 2 weeks, and who knows what's going to happen there. So.
Right, exactly. We don't even know if the shows, the shows are booked, they're ready to go. We're promoting them and putting them out there, but we know at any minute they could get shut down just like that. That's the one thing to worry about.
Yeah,
I hope not, because everybody, you know what? There's no reason people can't come out to shows if they want, wear masks if they have to, whatever they want. We could be on face stage doing what we have to do, and that's fine. But I feel that just like kids need to be back in school, we need to be back around music because that's such a healing force around us with everybody. Yeah. And even when we did our show in Hobart, we got off stage, and you know what? It was probably about maybe 90 people for the show, which was cool. The whole night was fine. Hobart, they had us downsize it, so it was probably 90 people. Sounded like 200 in there, the way they're all screaming and yelling. It was amazing. And then when we got off stage, this one guy comes up to me with his buddies, and he just grabs me. He's like, "Man, thank you so very much, man." I'm like, "No, man, I'm glad I could." He goes, "No, you don't understand. We really needed this. This was, thank you." I was like, "Man, I mean, if I," and that's what for me, that's what sets me off. That's what gives me the best chills is when somebody can come to me after a show and say, "Man, I really needed that. And thank you." It's like, wow, dude, that's humbling to me. Very humbling.
Yeah. You want to, we try to recreate. Now, obviously I don't look like Michael Schenker. Rich looks more like Phil, the younger Phil. Well, but I don't look like we don't look like the UFO, but we try to replicate, the music as close as possible. That's why I'm painstakingly, figuring out these solos for every note I can, so it's, so over the years, it's progressed towards, not, you learn the solos, you can learn them, but then you've got to actually feel them too, and then be able to play them with more feel as opposed to just getting the notes. So you go from more mechanical playing to more feel play,
Right. And when we're reading,
that's really got to work on after a while. It's you can see as the years progress, you listen to the music, how it's gotten more, as we all play together, we'll feel comfortable, and then you get to feel more of the song better. So.
Well, look at how it's changed just in the 3 years since I've been with you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we listened to recordings from the very beginning, some which we sounded very, very good, but now I listen to those recordings compared to now, though.
Yeah.
Seriously, with me anyway, I mean, the band's always been tight, but it's just, there's more now after 3 years of being together as a unit. Now we step to the stage and it's all feeling between us. It's, there's no second guessing. It's, everybody's right there where they need to be, and there's no spots missed. If there is a spot missed, it's picked up right away. We work as one tight unit. And that's what I love about our rehearsals, because if we mess up in the middle of a song or somebody, we don't like the way something's being played, especially if you do something on your lead that you don't like, or if you even happen to just go a different way, you stop and go, "Oh, I didn't like that. I'm going to redo it."
Yeah.
I thought it sounded pretty damn good. Damn good's not good enough. I'm like, all right, that's cool with me.
Well, tell me about some of the other guys in the band now. We had Andy on here for a little while, but now we've lost him.
I noticed that. I saw he was on. He dropped off again. So
we've lost
dropped off again.
Yeah.
Tell me about Andy.
So Andy, so we were going through several keyboard players. UFO's not keyboard driven. It's guitar driven. So with Raymond being a dual function, he's always had something to do with the guitar or key. So some of the keyboard players we had just kind of would lose interest because there were some certain songs that don't have keys. So what are they doing during a song? So I ran across Andy. Andy was actually filling in for another UFO tribute band at the time. He was just filling in for one show, and I saw a video of him online. I looked him up and I traced him down, and so I shot him a text, or I think it was not a text, an email, or through Facebook, and he came out in 2012, and so Andy's been around playing with bands, and then as Andy got in the band, I think it was 2012. So Andy's been with us since 2012, and then he's progressed into playing with other bands, and he plays for what's the Beatles band, Rich? He's playing with now.
American English.
Yes.
Oh,
So he's been playing with them. Yeah, he's been playing with them. So he's got a lot of things he's been really busy with. So and he's a seasoned accordion player actually, and he plays the accordion. So he's
I see in his bio he did some country stuff too.
Yeah, he's all over. He's kind of a variety of stuff he's doing. So he's really busy with this stuff, and he's got kids, a family, so he's keeping busy with all that. So. And Eric, bass player, singer, but Eric does our video, our audio, our technical stuff.
Eric Presley.
Eric Presley,
the comic of the band. The comic of the band.
Yeah, Eric is the book of knowledge. He knows everything about everything. So we always tease him, like, what chapter is that, Eric? Is that chapter 3000, verse 7, chapter, subchapter 3? So we always get on him about this, but he is really knowledgeable about stuff. So he's very versed, but he's a really in rehearsal, he's a really perfectionist as far as getting the sound dialed in, because we could really get everything dialed in at rehearsal. So we're so used to hearing everybody. So then we got out in another setting and we're like, well, making sure we can hear, because that's really important, that especially the drummer can hear me and certain parts. He's got to be able to hear the guitar soloist when to come in and out. So, but Eric's the type of guy that he'll set the board. Everything's perfect. Everything's mixed great. End rehearsal. Next time we come down, he's sitting there turning, twisting knobs. Eric, nothing changed. Nobody touched anything. So don't worry. You don't have to readjust any of the knobs. It's just leave it. Perfect.
The Gremlins came in and took care of everything.
So we got to kind of just pull them away from the board sometimes. Like, Eric, just leave it. Everything's fine.
Well, sometimes your ears are different on different days. So,
Well, it could be. So he's really, that's great to have, but it's almost, it could be your worst enemy at times, sometimes with that. But
I love it when we're getting ready to go to the stage, and as soon as we're getting ready to walk out, he's like, "Oh, wait a minute, I go set the video cameras off."
Yeah, he said the whole time. He said the whole time before, an hour before, to do all that. He's like, wait a minute, I gotta go turn the recorder on. I'm like, oh, come on, let's go. He had a half hour to do all this stuff. Let's go. So.
Yeah, well, we love him dearly, and he's our brother, and he's hysterical to be with and stuff like that. Like Joey says, he's a technical genius when it comes to audio and everything like that. But we had a call. We couldn't let him do the interview tonight because he'd still be talking, and none of us would even know each other's names by now yet.
Now, you played a band with him earlier, you said, right, Joe?
Yeah. So when I grew up when I was growing up in Berwyn, and he was playing in a band with Richie Leonard. Richie's our the guitar player, and so I just
were from Berwyn, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Berwyn. So
where's my rubber chicken?
Yeah. So I was like 15 at the time, 14, 15, just playing with these guys. So, but at that time it was just playing AC/DC and UFO and whatever the music was at the time. We were just having fun, So it wasn't a real serious thing, but just established the roots there.
I have to ask you, you had to go into DJ's music, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, DJs, God. Sure.
DJs. I put my first sound system at the DJs in Orland. Oh, my God. Back in 77.
Yeah. I used to travel. I drive all the way up to the DJs just to get a gross of picks,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, DJs.
Everybody won.
Yeah, DJs. That's where I bought my first guitar, my first amp. I bought a V there. My first V was there. Actually, it was a German made. It wasn't a V. It was called a Flying Arrow. They couldn't call it a V because of trade right for Gibson.
Oh, okay.
It was a Hoyer, a Flying Arrow.
Really?
Yeah, it was a thinner neck, and it fit my hand perfectly. It was thinner. It wasn't like the Gibsons, the Flying Arrow thicker. So this is a real thin, kind of a flatter. So it really fit my fingers. I mean, a hand perfect. But that's something I just, when I stopped playing, I literally just sold it. It was a rarity to find those guitars anymore. So
what were the two brothers? There were two brothers that ran.
Oh yeah, Dan and John.
Dan and John.
Yeah, and then the old, we used to call him the old man. He always used to be sitting in the chair with the suit on, 3-piece suit with the glasses.
Yeah.
But Dan, I think I used to deal with Dan. He always seemed like the grumpy old pissed off guy, and John was kind of the flamboyant, kind of rock and rollish looking.
Yeah, he ran the Orland store.
Did it? Okay.
John ran the Orland store.
Did he? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a Pawn Stars thing with the kids and the old man, the grumpy old man, huh?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, really.
You're right. That's what it reminds me of now. Right. Yeah, I used to trudge walking for like a good hour from my house, all from 24th and Gunderson, all the way down to, by Laramie down there.
Right. In
the snow, and just to buy a set of strings, one pack of strings for $1, Ernie Ball Slinky 9-gauge strings, right?
Yeah, that's right. That was it. That was the one.
That was it. Yep. I used to stare at the guitars and just like, wow, look at that guitar, look at that guitar, look at that guitar.
Yeah.
Road to Rock Radio is proud to welcome Paul Martin of M&R Rush and the Dancing Noodles and Ray the Roadie, the Rock and Roll Chicago Podcast. Join Paul and Ray as they bring you weekly interviews from bands that have rocked Chicago. It's the Rock and Roll Chicago Podcast, Monday night at 6 on Road to Rock Radio.
Chicago, rock and roll, Chicago.
All right, so what else we got? We got Rudy left, right? Rudy?
Yeah, Rudy.
Yes.
Rudy.
What's his last name?
Rudy Shimlek.
Okay.
So we Lamar. We had a drummer, Lamar, and he was gave us notice he was going to leave, so we were auditioning drummers. So Rudy's a friend of Richie Leonard, and so he came down for an audition. So did the audition. We brought him in, and that was, I think, 2013. So we had to work around his schedule. So we set up, he was nice enough to set up actually a Google Calendar so I can keep everybody's days straight. Everybody puts a calendar when they're not available, what they're doing, so I can progress to that point to try to keep 6 people's calendar straight. Before it was the old texting everybody. Can you do what day are you available? I'm not available this day. I'm not available. I can't do this day. Oh, I'm going on my mind, So
yeah,
put up a calendar. I tell them just to put the days you can't work. You're not available or what you're doing. Then boom, I can go right to the calendar. Something comes up, I can see right away.
So get back to the music end of this. With UFO, I looked up. They had 22 studio albums, 14 live recordings, 16 compilation albums, and 1 album of cover songs. I guess you guys got plenty of songs to cover.
You guys know all of them. You know all that stuff.
You know what? We know a lot of it, but we specialize, and that's the thing with us. We specialize in the Michael Schenker era. With UFO fans, and you know what? Chapman was a great guitarist. Lawrence Archer was a great guitarist. I actually think Lawrence Archer, when he stepped in, was closer to Michael Schenker than anybody else. He went on to play with Pete Way's band, and they've been jamming until Pete Way passed away, unfortunately. But that way, but we stick to the Michael Schenker era. For some reason, diehard UFO fans are just more drawn to the Michael Schenker era. And so a lot of UFO fans, for some reason, once Schenker was gone from the band, UFO didn't seem to exist anymore. Talk to a lot of people, and they have so many great albums and so much great music, and it's just you have those diehard Schenker fans that would just be like, nope, Schenker's not in the band anymore, UFO's done, and they don't listen to anything past that.
Yeah, well, I was surprised he had 22 studio albums. I mean, I was like, wow.
I think they just recently came out with a new one, didn't they? Was it the past couple of years?
Oh, they came out what's called the Sausalito cuts, and that was the cover album where they did all these cover songs and stuff like that. And actually, it got some bad reviews from some hardcore fans. But if you really listen to the songs, the way they restructured them and the way they did it, I think Phil did every song on that album justice. And I think it's a beautiful album. I mean, seriously, the way they did it, beautiful album. But yeah, man, they got so much music. I mean, it's crazy. We may pull a couple Chapman songs into the mix, like Mystery Train or Letting Go and stuff like that. But like I said, more or less, we're gonna, we stick to the Schenker era. That's because that's what Joey likes to play.
Well, it's you gotta UFO's got so much material, but there was only so much. There's some core songs, you've got to play when you play out. You've got to play certain songs from strangers, and you only got an hour and a half or 2 hours to play. So, you try to stick to some core material. So that takes up maybe an hour of time, and then you've got to be selective in the rest of the show what you want to play. So, you start, and then you got to do some Michael Schenker stuff, and then you've got more current stuff off Walk on Water. So it's always we might have 35, 40 songs in a set list, but we might not play one song for a year because it's just the way the set list is structured, where we're playing or, who we're playing with. So it's, and then you don't want to go too deep because then some people just don't recognize the song. What album is that from? So you got to kind of, I always look at what is UFO playing when they tour? What are they playing when they go out there?
Yeah, right.
It's always to me a kind of a gauge as to what should we be playing since what they're playing when they tour. You know,
And
so, but they're playing stuff off they're playing stuff off of Vinnie Moore, but they're always playing the core songs of UFO. You got to play those.
And that's what I was going to say is after the Obsession album, you think about it, really, there's actually the Lights Out album, there's really no hits that ever went to the radio after the Lights Out album. You know, if you think about it, I mean, standard radio airplay back in the day, like on the loop or anything like that, you know, Lights Out was played, you know, the Love got played, Too Hot to Handle. But once those albums were finished, you never really heard Letting Go or Mystery Train or anything from Wild Willie and the Innocent or from any of the other albums on the radio. You never heard that. Everything you hear from UFO is all structured in the Schenker era up to that, you know, Strangers in the Night album. And that's basically what's displayed on the radio, you know, those 4 songs.
And then when they did Walk on Water, and that's a great album. There's so many great songs off that album. But, you know, even when they toured on that tour, they came back. They only played, I think, 3 songs back in 94, 95 when they were touring. When that album came out. You know, they played Venus, Push to the Limit. Sometimes they even played Self-Made Man. They didn't really go too far on that album. Even though when you listen to that album, that every song is such a great song on that album. You know, so.
But they stay in that early.
It's challenging. It's challenging to do the set list and the environment we're in with the time we have, and so you gotta take the time and use it well. And then the songs you play, you've got to really be spot on with the songs and the music. You know,
So have you guys done any traveling as far as moving, reaching out into different areas with the band, or you stick mostly around the Chicago area?
Stick around the tri-state area. Basically,
yeah.
With everybody's schedules, what these guys do for a living and stuff like that, it's really hard for these guys to just pick up and to basically go. So it's everything we try to do is within the Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin, Illinois area, stuff like that. We try to keep it within like 2 hours if possible. You know, leave it like that.
I think last year we did Tribute Island Fest. Right. That was a real barn burner. It was like 105 degrees out at 7:00 at night with the sun on us, you know. So
118 on the stage.
Yeah, it was wow. That was I don't know if you play guitar when you play in the heat with a nitro finished guitar. That's just like stick. It's like honey. You know, you're sticking. You know, a lot of the finger ease. You know, you got to spray that. But that works actually very well. You know, spraying that on the guitar, on the neck to keep your finger keep it moving, or else you'd be sticking all night on that neck.
Your hands get a little clammy, huh?
Oh yeah. It just sticks to everything.
So is there any original music that anybody's come up with?
Nope, we are strictly a UFO Michael Schenker tribute band. That's all we did. It's really cool because it's just all this band wanted to do. And like when I joined the band, that's Joey had said to me, "Hey, we've had other guys in the band. You know, we're a Schenker tribute band, you know, UFO Schenker tribute band. We don't want to be doing this." I'm like, bro, this is my genre. This is what we want to do. And this is where everybody's at. Guys apparently tried doing some different stuff back before I got in the band, but it didn't really work out the way they wanted it to. So they went back to just the regular UFO, Michael Schenker. And, we understand with us, we have a niche group of fans that come out to see us, but those niche group of fans that come out to see us are coming out to see and relive their childhood from the 70s. So like I said, we just stick with that era and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think, we tried before Rich came to do different types of music, but everybody had a different variety, such a wide variety. We couldn't really focus on nobody had like a common interest outside this. So it was like, well, what exactly do you want to do? It was kind of all over the place. I think we even tried at one point, we even tried to do Foreigner tribute band. So we got maybe 8 or 9 songs, but getting the vocals to get that right, because it's really vocally driven. Is really you really got to be spot on with doing that. So
now, speaking of vocals, who does? What about background vocals? Anybody else besides Rich?
Yeah, you know what? I'm very fortunate that stepping into this band, I've got two great backup vocalists behind me with Eric and Richie. These guys have been singing together for a real long time. And, I always say these guys make me sound better. I mean, that's how good they are. I mean, really. I mean, the three of us together, their harmonies, the way we harmonize together on songs, the way they just step up to them. I mean, they've really got their stuff down. So, yeah, and that's what's cool with us, too, because when we're in rehearsals, we've got to make sure that everything, the vocals, everything, the harmonies are right spot on. If they're not where we need them to be and stuff, because we're never going to step onto a stage in a live concert without having our harmonies right where they need to be. And doing 3-part harmonies in a band it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But everybody, and that's another thing with Eric, though, too. Eric could also, if ever needed to, God forbid, if there was ever a situation where I couldn't step up to the mic for an evening and stuff like that, Eric could actually step in and carry the night with the band and just play bass and play all night to sing.
At one point, we did have Eric sing. One of our previous singers just got up and left. Sent us an email saying he just quit. So we had a show come up. So Eric stepped up to the plate and just filled in. Was able to sing. So he's very he's very versed in that area. So, but they've got they add with Rich and Eric doing the harmonies, but they're adding some harmony parts where not normally would hear it in the song, but when you hear it, it sounds really good that they're really putting certain things into the songs vocally.
So where can we find you social media wise?
Well, you can find our website at lightsOutChicago.net. And then, of course, you can just look us up on Facebook at Lights Out Chicago, our Facebook page.
Yeah. And then our next show is right behind where Rich is, the poster right there, Thirsty Beaver. So this is going to be a solo show, which is kind of a rarity for us. We don't do solo shows, but it's going to be like a 3-hour show we're going to be doing here. So it's just kind of the whole gamut of everything. UFO, Michael Schenker Group, everything. So we're just going to run through everything.
So by solo show, you mean just your band, right?
Just us.
Yeah, right.
Just be us. Normally we pair up, we do an hour and a half with one band and then an hour and a half with us. So, but this show, Rich found this opportunity. They want us to do a whole afternoon. So
where's that at?
At the Thirsty Beaver.
And what's the date?
September 20th. Sunday, September 20th from 3 to 6.
It's in Crestwood, right?
Crestwood, yeah.
Yeah, Crestwood, yeah. That's going to be, like I said, and that's our show on Sunday afternoon. It's the last day of summer. It's a Sunday afternoon fun jam. And so we're going to close out the summer for the Thirsty Beaver, 3 to 6. Have a great afternoon. And then we have a show scheduled on October 10th. That's outside. Yeah, the Thirsty Beaver really, I'm going to throw a cool shout out to this bar because this bar is cool. It's basically an outdoor pavilion bar. So you have the stage inside where the bar's at, but the sides of the bar along the side and on the back behind the bar are double garage doors that open up. Now this turns it and then opens up to the beer garden. So now you have it basically, it's now an outdoor pavilion bar. And that's how they are allowed to have bands there all summer and play what they're doing and doing what they're doing and just, and having, there's bands there every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And everybody's playing there, and everybody's been there all summer, and everybody's having a ball. So we're doing that.
Very
so
cool.
that show, then September 20th, end of summer, that's just going to be an all-out UFO Michael Schenker jam day, having fun, playing with the audience. We're going to put songs in a hat, let them get involved, pick some songs out of the hat. What do you guys, here, pick, just get them involved with fun. But then because we have a show that's coming up a couple of weeks after that on October 10th at Public House, we needed to do something a little different. So what we're going to do is we've done it once before, but we're going to kind of do it a little differently this time. We're actually going to go back and recreate the entire evening from the Chicago Amphitheater in 1978 when UFO was there on October 13th. So these guys will be recreating the music, and we'll be recreating the music, and I'll be recreating the banter, and we'll be taking everybody back to that night in 1978 that was there. So we're basically calling that show a night from the amphitheater at the Public House.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised that you hear when Strangers came out, it started up a natural thing out in the street, but people were there going, wait, I don't think that's how they opened up, and that's not how they opened up. They actually opened up with Hot and Ready. The expanded Strangers went to Hot and Ready and then Cherry. But if you actually listen to a bootleg copy of what they actually did that night. They did "Ain't No Baby" in that set list, and they did it in a different arrangement too. So we're going to actually play it in the actual order and the actual songs they played that night. So it was different.
So we got those shows booked and stuff like that. As I said, I'm going to try to get us something booked back at Hobart Theater. And then we'll be looking down the line what's going to be happening. Don't want to get too far out because we don't know what's going to happen, as we all know.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame, but it's like I said, things can be called at any minute, So
yeah, it could be.
Well, I'd like to thank Andy for joining us. How briefly he did.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. I didn't get a text from him saying what happened. I don't know what happened. Sorry, guys. I just don't know what happened.
If Andy couldn't get back on, or Andy's usually the guy that if something pops up, it's one good thing I can say about Andy. Andy always puts his family always comes before everything and anything, no matter what it is. So if something popped up with his son or anything like that at the house that took priority, is probably what happened there. So he probably said they got it.
Thanks guys for joining us. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks to Karen. Thanks, Karen, for getting us hooked up with you guys and everything, man. My love to her, longtime friend from Mrs. Crane there. Give her my best, please.
Will do.
All right, gentlemen.
All right, guys.
Thank you very much again for having us. You guys have a blessed evening. Take care.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
So that was Joe and Rich from Lights Out Chicago, a UFO tribute band. And
UFO Michael Schenker tribute band.
Yes, excuse me.
Remember, it's that era.
Yes, it is. And so they have some fun stuff to say, and they're really knowledgeable about UFO, aren't they?
Most definitely. And it's interesting to see that they're going to be doing a show from, was it 78 that UFO did at the amphitheater?
Yeah.
They're going to recreate that show. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like fun.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
They've been keeping pretty busy. Well, I mean, as busy as they could be,
Right.
but before COVID.
Yeah, because right now it's pretty much lights out for everyone.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But they've kept pretty busy over the last few years, and hopefully they get back at it here before too long and get playing just like we hope for all the bands and all the music to happen.
That's right. They got a couple of shows coming up, and hopefully it'll keep on coming.
So thanks for listening, everybody. That will do it for this week. Lights Out Chicago. Check them out. Check them out at lightsoutchicago.net or on Facebook at Lights Out Chicago. And check us out at rockandrollchicago.com or rockandrollchicagopodcast.com, rockandrollchicago.net, or on Facebook at Rock and Roll Chicago Podcast.
That's right. We're everywhere. And then don't forget you can catch us every Monday at 6:00 on the Road to Rock Radio from the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66 every Monday at 6 p.m. roadtorock.net.
Okay. I'll go listen.
All righty. Go now.
Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
The Rock and Roll Chicago Podcast does not own the rights to any of the music that's played on this podcast.
The music is used to promote the band or musicians that are interviewed.
Rock and roll Chicago, rock and roll Chicago, my hometown. Well, I was born in the city, go to Rocket City, Chicago. Chicago rock and rollers are the best around.